Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Exchange. My name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth, coming off of Pundit's Pundit, and now we are in for round two with the Dream Team and plus one. And what a show we had. Jacob Krishner of the Pundit's Pundit. I'm going to go around the horn. Okay, yeah, no, ESPN, I'm not giving you an endorsement, but it is appropriate to say this, okay. And why not? You know, great show we had here leading up, and now our regular Wednesday routine is we're going to lead off with Pundit's Pundit, followed by the Sports Exchange. So I hope everybody can follow us over from one platform to another. With that said, I'm going to introduce my crew, and then everybody can go around the horn. And we're going to lead off with Jacob Krishner of Pundit's Pundit. Jacob, give everybody a little bit of an intro about you.
Well, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and I created Pundit's Pundit a couple of years ago it started with Pundit Points. Started a couple of years ago during the pandemic. And it all came up from an idea when I was watching the old school football and just realizing, and then once you start running out of time, then you have to come up with ideas. My brother helped me get the stage started when we were in our old house where we were renting, and I got Pundit Points. Then JB noticed me. I got on what it was called at the time, Journey of the Jays, and then we got Pundit's Pundit together. And we got Pundit's Pundit together and all that kind of stuff like that. Then to get the real show, it used to be Pundit Points. I was the last one to get it on there. Then I got Jen, who I thank for helping me be my producer. Love her to death.
Love you too.
And then all of a sudden we started making Pundit's Pundit. Just it is the anti-meatball topics. You saw it tonight, Scott.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, 1 week we had martial arts and police reform. This one tonight we talked about. What was your favorite? I mean, we talked about the XFL and the XFL versus Together.
Right.
You know, the lawsuit. We talk about all kinds of different things. And Rick, I don't know if you've seen our show or not. Everything like that. We talk about the non-meatball topics. We let everybody go through. It is completely different. And that's what we're aiming at is, in fact, to me, I call this all the time. I call media hit and run media. We're here to get conversation. We're here to get topics. We're here to get debate and to be able to get to something. And that's what the Pundit's Pundit is. It is not making stupid things like the Clippers are the new team in LA because they've won all these, because they've won all these games in the regular season. It doesn't say stupid things like that. It is real conversation.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm really glad that you guys have brought me in and invited me to be a part of your crew because you know what? When I was told about the nature of the show, I thought, you know what? This would be great if I could come on. And I'm glad that you and Jennifer and Jay Nelson, who isn't on tonight, have allowed me to come on and be a part of your crew. And I am so excited that hopefully I can bring some of my experience out there. And
yeah.
For me, it's just really neat to be able to fit in with a show because I think there's certain shows I like to go on. But when you have a show that has your makeup out there, then if there's ever a natural fit, that's definitely it. And I'm glad really to be a part of it. Jen and Jacob, I can't thank you enough for allowing me to be on Pundit's Pundit.
Absolutely. Well, you bring history. I like to talk about everything from history to the current, but you bring history and facts to what you remember in life. And that's the thing I want to bring to the show. And Jen knows this too. Facts. We start talking facts, not hitting and running, not making things up, not flip-flopping. Facts. And that's what I want to bring up for that, you know?
I'll agree with that.
Yeah. In fact, I got one of my guys.
We talked. And
I have somebody in the chat room, by the way, who I was on a show with earlier. His name is Coach Dante, is joining us tonight in the chat room. So we'll never know. You know, I'm building out here, and I love it with all these people that cross over here and there. So, you know what? Yeah, I'm glad I could bring a little history. Go ahead, Jen. Sorry to interrupt you. I just want to.
Oh, no. You're fine. You're fine. I'm just glad to have you on. I'm really excited to have you on Basketball Bros this Sunday night as well. I think you'll have a blast there. You've already talked to the majority of the guys that are commentating on that show. I produce along with Denzel Snipes. But yeah, so I'm just excited to have you on these two shows.
And I'll be on the Gauntlet on Saturday night too, so I'm going to have a busy week. It's really going to be pretty cool. So, it's a lot of fun. You know, the basketball, you got to remember, I may not like today's NBA, but don't tell me in a million years that I covered it for many years. during the championship years with the Bad Boys. So I have a huge history being from Metro Detroit. And I'm hoping that my vast NBA background will provide a perspective on Basket Bros that will definitely lighten things up again. So, again, that's another one I'm looking forward to. Anything we get involved together, to me, is a blessing anyways. And, of course, so Jen, and by the way, got to let people know, Jennifer Lewis here is going to be on Inside the Pigskin tomorrow with Mel Farr and Steve Ballesteri. She's a permanent analyst on there as well. We brought her in. We really threw her into the fire last week. We had to talk about Watson. We really did. But she passed that with flying colors, so we're going to simplify it a little bit more tomorrow. But you talk about being thrown in the fire, Jennifer. You definitely got thrown in, but you passed with flying colors. So you're really good.
I was a competitive swimmer. I learned how to swim by being thrown in the deep end of the pool. It's all I know how to do.
Well, and of course, the senior member of the crew outside of me is Rick Curdy, who's been with me on 9 Million broadcasts. We actually met a long time ago when he wanted to promote Charlotte and Major League Baseball in Charlotte. And then, of course, I said, I'm bringing him over to my side. We did internet radio with Peter Ween. I'm forever grateful with Peter Ween as well, how I met Rick. And then all of a sudden, Rick became a permanent part of my network. He helps us in social media. Well, Rick, you ought to feel at home with this crew.
Yeah, I feel I'm excited. Jacob, him and I have been sparring for quite some time on social media, but it's been a lot of fun.
More like love taps.
Yeah,
we don't disagree on anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun, and even if we do, I don't care. It's all about having fun and dialogue. Yeah. And Jan's from my neck of the woods is in Charlotte, North Carolina, so
juicy.
So it's kind of cool to have someone here from the Queen City. And I'm not talking about Cincinnati. I'm talking about the real Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina.
Ask Charlotte the wrestler.
I love it. Thank you, Rick.
Ask Charlotte the wrestler. She calls it the Queen City.
All right, well, let me go ahead and do some company information before we get this bad boy going. Subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube on our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com, hit South Florida Tribune, and hit subscribe. That's all there is to it. Even an idiot like me could figure it out if I wasn't subscribed. Or visit www.southfloridatribune.com and follow us on Twitter at Tribune South. Advertise, call 954-304-4941. I know I'm speaking fast, but when you got a stroller, it doesn't matter if you can see it. If you can't, it is what it is. Okay. The audio portion of the show can be heard on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. My goodness. I've heard people say I talk fast, and you know what? I don't care. I talk faster than most Indy cars drive, so it doesn't make a lick of difference. I don't do anything slow. I eat fast, I talk fast, and we're going to have a very fluent, fast show, and we're going to have a ball doing it. All right, with that said, you know what? I'm not going to tell you what the topics are, folks. We're all over the sports map tonight. So with that said, okay, I mentioned it on Pundit's Pundit, and I'm going to mention it on the Sports Exchange. I'm going to go around to everybody to get their opportunity to talk about each and every topic. Okay, Jacob Krishner, you're up first. Okay, was the USFL a success in its first year? Fox, obviously, and NBC had the broadcast partners. Do you feel it was a success?
The initial success was getting it. Just what the biggest issue that I had, I brought up XFL tonight. I want to see the players that start coming in. Jake Luton, continuously getting a Jake Luton and all these type of other guys that get thrown out of the NFL constantly, keep getting cut at the preseason. Constantly getting these guys isn't going to help anything. And then I know what they're saying, but this wasn't the pandemic anymore. There's no crowds. There wasn't any real crowds. The football was all right, but they don't have another year like that. They got to build an audience. If they don't get that, it's done.
Well, from what I've heard, actually, I think they're going to be moving into some of the local stadiums next year. It was just a one-year thing where they kept everybody close. All right, Jennifer, what are your thoughts on USFL?
I liked a lot of what they did. Success? No. But I liked some of what their implementation was. So, I mean, I'm going to be a woman of few words on that because I didn't really follow it that much. So,
it's okay.
It wasn't really in the forefront. So,
well, like what I was bringing up, Scott, though, it's the fact that that's the thing. The reason I brought up the names, the sort of names that the Rock could possibly bring, that's just a theory, okay? But the reason I brought that up is because this is what keeps happening. anybody that's been cut by the NFL in the preseason, everybody keeps picking up. It's kind of like AEW with WWE and vice versa. It's like you're just picking up the people like that, and it's like at some point you got to be able to pick up some names, and it's like Jake Luton's not a name. It's not a name, no matter what. You may have seen him in the preseason, fourth string or something like that on Carolina. Not really, get my point. But you might see something like that, but it's like, no, it's not going to be a six. Like I said, maybe they're going to the local stadiums. I'm not even talking about. I know they're in the same stadium, but I'm not even talking about that.
Okay.
The local stadiums, if they can't hold them, it won't even matter. They don't have another year like that. It's going to be money. They're going to drain the money out quick.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Rick, obviously you follow the USFL. What are your thoughts about year number one?
Oh, I thought it went great. They actually had a full season. You know, the XFL was canceled because of the pandemic. We all heard about what happened in Major League Football. And so it's always like, if you can finish 1 year, to me, it's a success. The ratings were good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I think it was nice to see football players who really can't make it in the NFL have another opportunity instead of going to Canada. Now they can play in the USFL, XFL. I'd love to see like Josh Rosen come there. You know, I know he's on the Browns practice squad, but I mean, I think he's just been shafted in the NFL. And I think if he went there, I think he would do great. And no one ever heard of PJ Walker. And when he went to the XFL, he lit it up, and he was great. And so now he's with the Panthers. So it's great. I heard that Fox Sports has I think they're going to be there for at least 4 years with them. So, but having them in other stadiums, I think it'll be great. And I'm looking forward to season 2.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about the XFL is USFL. We talked about. So you're in my head a bit there, Jacob. But anyways, what I like about the USFL is the fact that they did make it through year number one. And the object of the game right now is get players into the NFL. That's all you got to do. They know it's a feeder system. It wasn't the USFL that Donald Trump screwed up years ago that wanted to take it into the fall. Okay. And you can rest assured when he was running for president, okay, he wasn't talking about that bad gaffe, and I actually met Donald Trump when I covered the USFL championship game in 1984. He invited me and a bunch of other reporters up there. Were
you the greatest reporter ever? Were you the all-time greatest reporter ever?
Well, yeah. Hey, I've got a history. I mean, I'll let everybody. I got to tell you, I did win an award in 1984 for Broward Community College.
No. You were terrific. You were the greatest. You were when you with Donald Trump. Don't you know that?
Yeah, you're the greatest of the greatest sportscasters and writers of all time.
Well, hey, I survived with them. I guess
that's good.
I mean, I managed to get out of there without getting kicked out. I don't know if you want to call that anything, but I guess my point is, as long as and let's face it, the NFL didn't want him back because he's tried so many different things. When he got, and I'm not turning this into a political thing, but when he didn't get the Buffalo Bills gig and he tried numerous times, there was a vendetta against.
Well, he tried getting the Cowboys. He tried getting the Cowboys, which he would have bankrupted them because they were already bleeding money. He would have bankrupted them in 5 years.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, no,
the biggest issue though with at USFL is what I was bringing up is the fact that money drain. They talk about the 4-year contract. There was a 4-year contract with the XFL the first time around 2001.
Yeah,
and then it just went out after a year. The biggest issue that you have is the fact that you have now that you got a little bit of money from like the media and everything like that. Now you have to save it. Now you have to. It's like they're not going to be able to give big contracts and everything. They're just going to have to be able to maintain what they have. Can they? Is the question.
Well, I mean, that's what we'll find out. I guess the main reason I brought it up, Jacob, is year number one. We know that there'll be a lot of TBDs down the road, matching the points that you're talking about. Can they save it and so forth? So I'm with you all the way. I think, you have to wonder what your expectations, though, are in year number one versus what year number two is. And like Rick said, get through year number one, get guys into the NFL, and then go from there. And then again,
I will say they need a better championship trophy and banner. Yeah. Like, that was just really sad.
That championship game was awesome. That was a great
championship game. It was a great game.
It really was.
I just felt bad for the winners, like walking under the like paperboard. Obviously, paperboard.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's year one,
I know. I was like, come on.
And I'm looking forward to the XFL too. It should be interesting now that The Rock owns it. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
we talked about that earlier.
We're talking about that tonight.
That'll be on next week's edition of the Sports Exchange. Don't go ahead and let the cat out of the bag there, Curdy, okay?
Sorry.
Otherwise, we're going to be here until the midnight, and Jennifer won't like me anyways. But
Jennifer will jump off real fast.
I know.
Jennifer has to work in the morning.
We want to go ahead and keep her as long as we can. So, no, but I'm glad. But, yeah, I think it's good to have mixed opinions on this one. So we'll go back to the NFL, and we'll have a pretty simple one here. Will the LA Rams repeat? Jacob Krishner?
Rams, there's a lot of going on right now. No, it is hard to repeat. They have now, believe it or not, they now have a thing where you can have too many wide receivers, too many weapons.
Right.
You got to make happy. It's like now they added Allen Robinson, which as a Bears fan, I liked him on the thing, but and he would have actually done something. He'd done even more if he didn't have Matt Nagy, which you think Matt Rule's bad. But saying though,
I would rather have Nagy.
No, you would not. No, you would not.
Nagy
Trust
and
me.
Rule need to go back to school.
You want to kill Nagy.
What university did you go to again, Jacob? I forgot because I think they need to be your coaches.
The minute you take one more look at Nagy for the 50th time doing a 3rd and 34 and doing a curl for 3 yards, it would piss you off. Trust me on that. But the biggest thing about it is like with the Rams, like I said, you can have two. They keep adding weapons. Good for them.
Right.
They keep adding weapons. They keep adding everything. But here's another thing to ask for yourself. All of these years of Matt Stafford being an absolute warrior, is he finally going to break apart?
Right.
Their backup is John Wolford, who I like John Wolford, but he's not the Super Bowl guy. Right. He's not a Super Bowl guy. You might get to a 7th seed, 6th seed, whatever, and an out. I mean, he's a good little backup quarterback, but that's the biggest issue we're going to have with Matt Stafford is he has been, like I said, he's been an absolute unmitigated warrior for 12, 13 years. Right. I mean, he is the last of a breed that will play through the utmost pain. He is the closest to those old school warriors that taped it up and go. And this will be, I'm saying, what comes to a point where it just falls apart? Will that be? And it's the same that I say about Tom Brady. I said this, and Jen knows I said this. You've heard it from me too, Rick. I've said this. It's like he left in their final game when he could have gone by, but Matt Stafford had a great drive. That's a way to leave. And the fact is, and he left healthy. Now he's going to possibly, and Jen was right, he wasn't going to retire. But she said that.
I made everybody mad because I said he's not done yet.
He's not done yet, but the thing is...
I made a lot of people mad when I said that. They were like, you're ridiculous. I was like, he's coming back, watch.
But the issue is,
Ego.
My issue with the fact about Tom Brady is he's prettier than all he takes is he's 45 years old. One freak accident on that field and he's done.
Right.
And it's like, and he could have retired healthy. Being 44 and ridiculous. Instead, that could easily happen. And that's the same way I'm going. And he's much younger. Stafford's much younger, but he's been broken apart a lot more than Brady has. And how long before? I don't know how he can stay healthy. You're going to have too many weapons, and I don't know about the Rams defense this time.
Right. That's a good point. And by the way, Jennifer, I've been on a lot of shows too, and I thought that Tom Brady wasn't done yet either. I went out on a limb saying I didn't believe in that retirement, and I told people so. I felt like, number one, $25 million left on his contract. You don't leave that money on there as well. And number two, I just felt like he had the 1 year left, and that's what I believed in my mind. So
here's the only reason why they didn't go to the Super Bowl last year. The week before the first or second playoff game, I forgot how deep in the playoff run they went. Tom Brady now publicly said, of course I get calls in my direction. I'm Tom Brady. You don't call it out before the games. We all know it. Right. We all know it. Luke Kuechly waited till he retired to say but that 2014 Patriots-Panthers game, I may have gotten away with something. Luke retired before he announced it, and he waited 8 years. Like, really? Like, that's why. Plus, there's no way in the world the GOAT of the postseason is going to retire without a final Super Bowl ring.
He ain't going to retire if he gets another Super Bowl ring, though.
Yeah, he will.
No, he won't.
His next Super Bowl ring, he's out.
No, he won't. Because that's the
Bet you
problem
$100.
with him. He's Vince McMahon. It's like
do not insult Tom Brady and do not make me defend Tom Brady.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Terry Johnson will beat me for defending him.
No, but I'm saying what I meant by is I'm not bringing up McMahon's ridiculousness. I'm bringing up somebody that just refused to retire until he was forced, and this is going to happen if he gets hurt.
Tom Brady knows wins win.
McMahon
doesn't. That's why he has all the shady shit stuff. Sorry, Scott.
That's okay.
But if he knew wins win, he'd been gone after that last one.
Tom Brady will retire when he wins his next Super Bowl.
Yeah, but my question
is, will be 50 years old?
I don't think the Rams will be repeats because I think Odell Beckham Jr. is actually very carcinogenic.
Yeah.
And the Rams decided to re-sign him. And I've always thought that. Personally, I've thought that since 2015. Kind of before then. But I was enamored with him because of his play. But when I saw his actions towards Josh Norman and the Giants game, and then I started paying attention towards his actions towards other players on opposing teams as well. Then with his antics against Baker Mayfield last year and his daddy's antics, I mean, how juvenile to get daddy to come fight your fights. Really?
Well,
but that's why I don't think the Rams will be repeats because they kept Odell Beckham Jr. and he's carcinogenic.
And another thing about Odell is how I brought this up when there was Bears fans saying they wanted Odell. I said, how's his knee? You remember that, Rick? And it's like, how's his knee? And it's like, and I mean, that's the thing. I could get blown out again. And then it's like, there's another gone. So, no, I don't. I think they're playoffs again, but not this time.
Yeah, you know
what? What do you think, Rick?
Yeah, right. What do you think, Rick?
Oh, Rick.
We can't hear you.
I can't hear you. Rick. We can't hear him. Did you mute him?
I don't know if he muted himself or not. Well, when he gets it, all right.
Rick, turn the audio up on your media.
Well, while he figures it out, I'll just tell you, I'm not as much as I would love to.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now
we can hear you now. What do you think, Rick?
They won't repeat. I don't believe they will repeat. It's very difficult to repeat. Von Miller's gone. You got that Super Bowl hangover going on. And I think they're kind of now relaxed and say, hey, we did it. We won our Super Bowl. I think Stafford's relaxed and won his Super Bowl. I think they'll get deep into the playoffs, but to repeat, I don't see them happening.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll agree with all you guys on that. Number one, and I like where you were going, Jacob. Number one, that I think Matthew Stafford is a warrior. He can only take so many hits anyways, but he got the monkey off his back by being able to at least win it once. So at least his career won't be incomplete. You know, and I think so. I love Matthew Stafford. I felt bad he got a bad rap with the Lions, but at least he landed in a place where he could win, and I'm fine with that. So you know,
well, people with actual football knowledge, should see. It's not fans. That's not most fans. So we're talking about this. They kept talking about, he's Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford got 5 wins out of some miserable teams.
5,000 yards, 45 touchdowns. They make the Pro Bowl with the Lions. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
Well, it tells you a lot of things, and we don't have the time to break down that one here. but we'll save it for next week if we have to. But yeah, I think we all agree though that I don't believe the Rams are going to go out there and repeat either. But I'm glad Matthew Stafford. And again, you know what though, Jacob, the common denominator between Brady and is taking a lot of hits, and you know, and I'm not going to get into any more Brady conversation. We'll leave it for next week. But let's face the reality. His wife wanted him to bow out and take the broadcasting job, so he didn't get hit, but the competitive driving along the state. But Matthew Stafford, to me, I think he'll keep him. He'll go to the playoffs every single year. I really do. And then you hope and pray their defense is enough. But I think their window's closing. It'll be interesting what happens in 2 years. All right, so let's turn our attention to college football, all right? Will Notre Dame ever be taken seriously to win a national championship?
No.
Okay, go ahead. Why?
No, absolutely not. They won't, because one of the biggest things that you have an issue with is I have an issue with. Now it starts here. NBC. They had a chance to get rid of that NBC deal to go get a real media deal. They did not. It's been around since 1988. It's not a real deal anymore with all these media deals we have now. That's number one. They did have Marcus Freeman. That is correct, but they got the same type of offense, same type of every bit of deal. They have great defenses. Marcus Freeman was one of the areas on that. So they got these great defenses, but there is still a smidgen left of that. Plus the fact they're also independent, other than playing the ACC teams. So really, while you're doing something like that, and they see, at least Notre Dame once used to play all the harder teams, kind of like Pat Summitt used to do with basketball and play all the harder teams and beat them. At least they used to do that before getting their butt kicked by Alabama. But now they have got some pretty crummy teams on their schedule this year. So you'll see the 9 wins, 10 wins, whatever. But they will not until they go to a conference. They will not until, well, for one thing, there's going to be a lot of stuff they're going to have to do. First off, it is, you got to remember, they're in Indiana in the winter, in an era where so you're going to have to go get some real recruits. You're going to got to go get recruits. It's like, I can tell you this, Iowa's going to struggle the minute Kirk Ferentz is gone. I can tell you Illinois they never do any good. Doesn't matter who they get.
Right.
It's like, I mean, even though you can go get all the money in the world, put all that stuff, you still got to go tell them to go in the late November to Illinois. It's going to be funny to watch UCLA and USC go to Iowa in the middle of November. It's going to be hilarious to watch that. But the problem with, like I say, all these things is, again, it's just like what I was saying with Green Bay and Chicago on our show, the Pundit's Pundit. It's one of the reasons I say that. You cannot expect these players anymore, especially when you can go to Miami you go to University of Miami. Thank you with your U. You can go to the U for your stuff now. You go to Florida for it. Right. You can go all those places for that. And now all the warm areas, University of Florida, you can go to Florida State. You can go to UCal. You go to UCLA, anything. How's Notre Dame going to be unless they would get themselves a dome themselves, and it's college.
Right.
So no, not first step will be getting yourself into a conference, then go from there. And a real media deal.
Okay. All right, Rick, what do you think this time?
Yeah, I agree. Notre Dame, I mean, those days are gone. You know, Brian Kelly did a great job there. You know, he got them close, but just couldn't compete with the Alabamas and the Clemsons, you know, and a lot of these, and especially with this NIL coming out, a lot of these young kids, they don't want to go to freeze their behinds off in Indiana. You know, you want to go to USC, UCLA, Florida, nice, sunny, hot places, nightclubs, you know, restaurants, you know, beaches, you know. Now, you don't want to be in cold Indiana. No offense to Indiana, but you don't want to be there. So,
I give plenty of offense to Indiana.
Yeah, I you know, they don't want to go there, you know, and those days are the Newt Rockne and all that stuff, and those days are long gone, you know, and I like Marcus Freeman. I think he'll do a good job there, but, you know, they can get into the playoffs, but they're going to get shellacked by Clemson. They're going to get shellacked by Alabama, you know, so they're just not in that class. So, no, I don't think that they'll be a good team, but not a championship team.
Well, that's that 12. That's that 12, though. You know what I'm saying? That's that 12-team tournament. It just gives Notre Dame another chance to get killed.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting to that, Jacob, but okay. That's the next topic, but we're going to let Jennifer get her poke at Notre Dame, but thank you very much. I'll tell you, Jacob, if I had you in the studio, you and I are going to get that GMTA thing down pat really quick if we have to. All right, Jen, tell me what you think of the fighting.
I agree and disagree. First of all, Notre Dame's never going to have a problem getting students there. It's Notre Dame. Right. Their lineage says more. However, do I think that they're what?
Academically, they won't. You're correct.
Right. So you're still going to go there because I wanted to go to Notre Dame. There was no way. I didn't even apply because there was no way I was getting in. So, and I went dumb in high school. As an adult, I could probably go back to high school and feel smarter about myself. But are they going to win a championship? Not really. Like, frankly, he did a great job. Kelly did a great job, but it's not in the near future. Not until, like you guys said, They get into their football team, and I mean, it's stupid how they've like divvied up. Their 80. I don't know what they were. What they were smoking when they decided to just put their basketball team in the ACC. Like, if you want to play with the big boys and you want to divvy up your team, go or everything but football. Sorry, my husband just corrected me. SEC for football. I don't know if they'd allow it, but hey, if you want to go play with the big boys.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. But Notre Dame's never going to have an issue getting students there.
Well,
some people like the cold, but nah. And I mean, and the players are always going to get a look because of the lineage. But UNC Charlotte, as Rick knows, their players get look. We have 4 or 5 guys who played for UNC Charlotte in the league right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big thing.
And we just had a football team. We haven't had a football team that long. We've only had it for 8 years?
10 years.
8 years maxed. Yeah.
No, and that's
I might let my husband go back to a game.
You make a good point on that, but what I was like your point on is they're not going to have trouble getting students. You're correct. Students are. It is an academically phenomenal university.
Yes.
And like you were talking about with what I was bringing up though was like when there was that whole deal with the Arch Manning thing, bring out the hats and see who he'd go for. You get a little show out of it. When you get those you'll get one of those players a year. Arch Manning was this year's, a couple of them last year, whatever. You don't see Notre Dame on any of those hats like ever. Or the people, or what do you think? There's always like Texas, Alabama, Florida. It's always that you never see Notre Dame on those hats for the big name recruits. Like when you see the big ESPN specials, you never see Notre Dame.
Right.
And I'm just saying what I'm saying. The big ones, as like I said, it's like Arch Manning going to Texas. It's like it's Texas, and even though Texas isn't great winning right now and stuff like that, it's still Texas in December. Better than December in Indiana.
Yeah, I think you know what.
Sorry, Scott.
That's okay. I know where you're going, Jacob. Number one, okay, a lot of players nowadays do like the warm weather climates, the Florida States, the Floridas, Miamis, Alabama. But I think the real big thing here is we know that Notre Dame is a really big academic institution like the University of Miami. But here's the kicker, okay? The Fighting Irish need to get in the Big Ten as quickly as they can. They really do. That's the ideal conference for them. You saw how they compete against Ohio State. And we know Nebraska went to the Big Ten, but they played in a pathetic conference with the Pac-12 at the time where you had Oklahoma and Texas, and they got humbled badly. But I think Notre Dame would fare a little bit better. And Penn State didn't have it easy either. They were invincible. Yeah, what you have with Notre Dame, though, and Penn State, though, Jacob, is they're independents, and all of a sudden when you start seeing teams every year, okay, they're not so independent. They get used to how you do things. So the reality is, I just don't think Notre Dame will win a national championship, especially under the way things are now as an independent. And you're right, Jacob. They do need to get in a conference where it's a much bigger deal academically. Not only that, but support their other sports as well.
Well, here's my thing. The thing is, that NBC deal has scalded me for 10 years, and it's even worse now.
Right.
Because I've wanted them to get a real media deal, because the media deals from here on out, we have this the Big Ten deal, SEC deal, and the NFL deal. The last 3 of them are billions. The next deals in the next 7 to 10 years are going to be the streaming.
Right.
That was the last real big media deal we get from the television. And the biggest thing I have is they stuck with NBC, which was 1988.
Right.
And it's now going to Peacock. Most of the games go to Peacock. They are cowards with that stupid media deal with NBC.
NBC is really gunning a lot of things towards Peacock. They really want to go more towards streaming because they're making a lot of revenue off of that. You've got the people like me who hate commercials, so they're paying $10 a month. Then you've got your regular NBC shows. But my point with Notre Dame is what would solidify them getting more players would be helping get really good NIL deals for the players.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? I'm still agreeing on the NIL. So I'm going to wait for future shows as we come a little bit more informed about
Oh,
it.
we've already talked about it on the Fun It's Fun.
Well, good. And you know what? We'll introduce it again in more detail next week. How's that? We'll talk about it over the weekend. If you want to educate me a little bit on it, Jacob and Jen, and Rick, I'm more than willing to go ahead and talk about it next week because I'd like to learn more about it myself. Right now, I'm just one of those things where I'm just kind of learning about it, so I just gradually ease into it. So,
sure.
But let's face the reality. Notre Dame has one of the highest academics standards anyhow, so you're not going to get a lot of your best athletes because of the academic standards there. And we'll just see. I mean, who was the last guy that won a national championship there? We know it was, I believe, Lou Holtz, and then I believe
Holtz.
Like 88, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Dan Devine, I think, won one there too, didn't he?
What? No, he didn't win it. Did not win it.
Dan Devine, I thought he did.
No, Devine did. Yes, I'm just talking about, but I'm saying go behind. Devine was behind. Dan Devine was behind Lou Holtz.
Right. Well,
Wasn't Charlie Weiss? We know that.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. Right. So I guess it's safe to say if there's a majority here that we all do agree that Notre Dame, their chance of winning a national title aren't very good. All right, next subject, which Jacob kind of really pointed it out a little. Now we'll go into more detail on it. College football playoffs are expanding to 12 teams as early as 2024, as late as 2026. Long overdue, Jacob?
No. It's money. It's money, and it's gonna put money in the. I mean, as if he needs it, but it's gonna put more money with like Jerry Jones because it's gonna show up there at AT&T Stadium. But the problem with it is the fact that I remember during the pandemic, I was saying this is Notre Dame's one chance to win their national title when Alabama lost a lot of their receivers who opted out. Clemson had some that opted out. This was Notre Dame's one chance. I said that, and they got absolutely murdered with a wide receiver short team like Alabama. Murdered, and it's like if they don't have that chance, they have nothing. But now they're not going to be in a top 4. They're not going to get a chance anymore, unless they would go undefeated. They're going to get no chance, and they're definitely not this year, obviously. They're not going to get any chance anymore. So what do? You give them a chance by putting them in a top 12, which they always will be. And of course you're going to see things like Cincinnati's who got murdered. You're going to see the Michigans. You're going to see the usual suspects get absolutely mauled. There's not going to be the same upset you're going to get NCAA basketball.
Right.
And then to me, the only tournament that matters to me, if it was ever, and they're never going to do it, is every single conference in the United States has a champion, and they all go for the tournament. It's the only chance, because I have zero interest in the top 6 and then 6 wild cards, because those 6 wild cards just going to get slaughtered.
Well, let's face the reality, though. I do think it's an upgrade over the existing situation. You got 4 of 130 some odd teams, and so I
didn't like that. Didn't like that.
No, but considering what you had beforehand, Jacob, think about it. Okay, you got computers picking these teams before and doing this by a computer. I mean, let's be realistic.
I know the BCS. See, the BCS was ruined in the first place, but the BCS came because there was that whole Tennessee-Michigan flap in like 97. Right. 97, 98, there was that flap, and that's when the BCS started getting the conversation. But the problem is the biggest problem about it is now you had the situation where I say it's not the computers picking anymore, but in a certain way they might be, because you got who's the top 4, and then no matter what, now you're picking a controversy, and that controversy gets killed by Alabama or Clemson.
Oh, that's true. But you got to remember,
no matter what.
Yeah, but you got to remember what you had before. I mean, I'm not going to tell you that the 12-team situation is perfect, but at least you won't have to worry about those borderline teams that are going to whine that they shouldn't have got in. I never believed the University of Central Florida deserved to claim themselves national championship, unless I want to laugh all the way to the funny farm, because that was a joke, hanging their own freaking banner over at that stadium. Oh, we're going to be 1 out of 133. Say, hey, we're the national championship participation trophy. All that business. Give me a break here.
Give me. But I'll tell you this: give me a tournament. Every conference in the United States goes at it together. One time, we'll see. Maybe you get an upset or 2. But it's like, other than that, I am not interested in the top 6. I'm not interested. Eventually, I'm not interested in the 5-5 team getting into a tournament, because that's what will happen if you get 12. It'll be 32, then everything. That'll be the next 15 years. Not interested in that kind of thing. That's what's leading to.
Well, let me tell you, by the time it hits 32, I'll make a big time prediction. Jennifer's not going to like it, okay? By the time it hits 32, I'll be taking my concrete nap up in Wisconsin. I ain't going to see the insanity anyways. But I know Jennifer, okay, tends to be a little protective outside of candy. She don't want to see me take a concrete nap.
Not yet.
32.
I still like you.
Not yet.
Exactly. All right, so Jennifer, let's see if you can break up the insanity with him and I talking about 12, even though it'll never get 32, 36, or whatever the heck the number will ultimately be when I am long gone in the voice of Ernie Harwell, the Tigers legend, and my mentor, by the way. Go ahead, Jen.
I'm not gonna lie, Jacob, you know I love you, but I got a little distracted by your answer. Can you please repeat the initial question?
Sure, absolutely. College football playoffs expanding 12 teams early 2024, 2026. What do you think, Jen? You like it or you don't?
I don't like it. It's stupid.
What's that?
It's stupid. I don't like it.
Okay.
Because we don't need to have, like, why? There's one championship, like I was just saying. There's one national champion. Lately, it's been Clemson or Alabama, but
LSU was one, but still.
Oh, you need to talk to our friend Dom about his theory on Clemson. He's got a really good theory on Clemson.
Don't worry, he'll have his airtime. You don't have to worry about that.
Just remember, make a sticky note to ask him about his theory on Clemson. It's actually really good. I don't want to take credit for it, but it's good.
Well, we're mixing all your people into this platform tonight. We're just getting started, folks. You're looking for some wild shows. This is the first of a lot more of them. All right, Rick Curdy. This is one of the few shows you've been pretty quiet about until we give you a moment. Let's see if you can break the insanity part of the whole thing. Go on, Rick.
I love it. I hate it. They should have expanded it a long time ago, but 12 is way too much. It should be 8. 8 is enough, in my opinion. 12 is going to water it down. And I agree with Jacob. You're going to see the Cincinnatis and the Memphis and the North Carolinas and all these other teams, with a weak record. They have 9 or 10 wins get in, and they're going to get shellacked against Alabama and Clemson and Ohio State. So and now that Brian Kelly's with LSU, I guess he can choke in LSU now that he choked with Notre Dame because he couldn't win the big game. So we'll see what happens.
Let's see. But here's the issue with Brian Kelly. He was he's an East Coast coach that made a little bit of a decent amount of time at Notre Dame. Had some good success. Had all that kind of stuff. SEC football. Him replacing Eddie Orgeron, who's a limited X's and O's coach, but he's the heartbeat of the absolute heartbeat of Louisiana, heartbeat of that college. And you're replacing him with a guy who completely and utterly faked that whole dance, faked a Southern accent, went stupid. That was no kidding. Went terrible.
No, that grates me so bad, bad.
I'm Southern too. That's the funny part.
I'm Southern. Y'all don't hear a Southern accent out of me, except for the word y'all.
It was dumb, and it's like he was trying to be Eddie Orgeron. Eddie Orgeron has his own personality, and and he became the heartbeat from being a real personality. And he's trying to bypass him. He never will. And this year they're going to have a struggling year. And here's the deal: they had a struggling year in Orgeron's final year, but it's still Eddie Orgeron.
Yeah,
you love the guy. He's the last of a breed that can get away with not having a pile of people to ambush him and want him fired. He's that guy you want to party with. It's like Bill Murray being a coach somewhere when you get Ed Orgeron.
Well, let me tell you, you want to talk about Ed Orgeron being the partying guy. I agree with you. I like Coach O, and there's nobody can replace him, and they give him $17 million to leave. But if you want to party with another guy, I'll go back in the history books. Party with Wayne Fonts of the Lions. He was pretty good, too. Wayne, I worked with Wayne for a few years. I went to school with his kid, Jacob. And I'm telling you, Wayne Fonts and Ed Orgeron, you put those two in the same room, and I'd love to be with those two guys. That's unbelievable stuff.
Wayne Fonts. It is so hilarious. I knew from Wayne Fonts when he was doing defensive coordinator at Tampa.
Right.
And it's like, and then goes to Detroit, and then that's it.
Yeah, but you know what? He did something that no coach has been able to do since they won all. He won a playoff game.
Yeah. No, but
he's Bill Walsh at Detroit.
Huh?
He's like Bill Walsh at Detroit. Yeah, that's
Well,
the most success they ever had.
Kind of is a little bit. He's the all-time winningest coach, the all-time losingest coach, but at least he won a playoff game. And so, we'll take the good. I love Wayne Fontes, and so did Barry Sanders. And I may throw a little curveball in the mix. If Wayne Fontes was still the coach, Barry Sanders would be the all-time rushing leader. But that's
there's no question. Yeah. And the thing about it was, and one of the biggest things also is the fact that Dan Campbell, if he's allowed to give him a chance, he's going to break them all.
Oh, I think
really believe that.
Yeah, well, don't worry. We'll save that for next week. But yeah, that's a valid point, Jacob, for sure. So, all right, one more topic here that we're going to talk about. Then everybody's going to we have our parting shots version where everybody gets to talk about whatever they want. So, minor league baseball be unionized, Jacob.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Another thing we talked about on Pundit. Another thing we did. Oh, and it's like, yeah. And it's seeing the thing is, to me, maybe it's not yet, but real soon. And it's because the biggest issue is single A players make $11,500 a year. Without the bonuses, they $11,500 for the double A, $13,000 for triple. The numbers came out when Tim Tebow went into baseball, and he had a $300,000 bonus. So he had that. These players will get a $210,000 bonus and have to live off of it. It's like at some point, the Cubs this year were one of the first teams to actually have really nice apartments built for them, the minor league players. Everybody else has been living in basic shacks for all this time. And Artie Moreno's horrible treatment of in Anaheim, his horrible treatment of the players over there kind of opened the doors that it's in bad shape. And this has been needed. This conversation, even if it's not there yet, it's been needed. The minor leaguers need to be, as much as I'm not the biggest union guy on earth, there are some situations where you need it. You cannot. It's like if you don't have that $210,000 bonus, who can live off $11,000 a year?
Right.
Who can live off that a year? Who can live off anything like that? Not everybody. Like I said, Macho Man Randy Savage was a minor league and single A baseball player in his time. You want to know what he had? Poker winnings and his father to get him by. As much as Landy can say, "Oh, he didn't ever need his dad," nah. You can't win poker that well. It's like that's the big thing. Not everybody has daddy. Not everybody has the poker thing and stuff like that, and people go broke. That's why they quit baseball. Right. You need to get that up to $40,000 a year. For that, you absolutely need to. There's no question.
Okay, Rick.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday, Scott, and I agree. They need to have a union. People, when they think about minor league players, they think about Bryce Harper signing this big old bonus, or all these extensions, and he signed with a blah 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 for like $40 million. People don't talk about the 99% of them that are broke and have real jobs and live in their mom's basement, who are struggling and all that stuff. So they have to do something to them. None wrong with having a little extra money, a little extra protection. And remember, Manfred contracted so many minor league teams, and that hurt as well. So they had to do something. And I think with the pressure and the momentum by the media about unions, MLB's in a fold, and they're going to unionize them. They have to.
All right, Jennifer, what are your thoughts of this?
Pay them a little, pay them more. However, everybody has to pay their dues. Okay. That being said, I know the Knights pay for their housing, so I'm all for that. Do I think they need to unionize? No, because then they're going to ask for big fat paychecks, which will bankrupt the minor league. Therefore, they'll go bankrupt. The minor league will go bankrupt, and there'll be no more minor leagues. Yeah. Charlotte's the most profitable minor league team in AAA, and it's because of location. I'm not gonna lie, like truly, it's because of it was very strategic. It was intelligent. It was genius. And so, do I think they need to unionize? No, because here's the thing: you think of your Baltimore Colts. I happen to know a lot about this topic. My father-in-law is a huge Baltimore Colts fan.
Right.
Johnny Unitas had a full-time job. A couple of guys pumped gas in the off season. They weren't making the big bucks either.
Most of the athletes at that time, yeah.
And then Johnny Unitas' big payday came last year when he went to the 49ers. And his big payday was more because he was going to be a coach, like an unofficial coach to their quarterback. Like, because he was done. Like, that was his final season playing. But yeah, you've got to pay your dues.
Right.
When I started out, I was making like 20 grand a year too.
I get that.
And I hear what you're saying, but most of the minor league clubs pay for their housing.
Yeah, well, the housing is garbage. A lot of it is. Might get
No.
there, but a lot of it is. Have you seen?
Well, it depends on where it's located. I will say it depends on where it's located. But I don't really see rural Tennessee having the most elaborate housing, but it's going to be nice.
But my issue with what I was saying with that is, and you're talking to somebody who's not the world's most greatest ally of unions. You know this. I am not.
Right, but I'm looking at the big picture. You unionize the minor league, it's going to end up bankrupting them.
Well, and
then where are they going to play?
But the thing is, you get what you get what you get. It's just like the NIL. We're going to talk NIL next week, but I'm bringing this part. NIL, NCAA got that had that come in the minute that they were sanctioning coaches for paying for kids' dinners. Like if they wanted to go out and like the kid was having a problem. Like that's what happened to Rick Majerus.
And it was more when like Michael Jordan was giving Carolina basketball players cars.
Well, this is true too. But I'm saying, but this is true too. But at the same time, Rick Majerus was getting sanctioned for like he was getting sanctioned for like, well, there's a kid whose dad died or mom died or something, and he brought him out to eat at 2 a.m. He got sanctioned for it. That crap they had that coming for doing that. So it's like, and that kept happening. It kept happening. So NIL was bound to happen. Paying $11,000 and they're going broke. And you're right. You have to earn your way, but 40 grand is nothing. 40 grand is nothing to be able to go up to. I mean, at least give them a living wage.
Well, let me just say this, okay? And I love being the last person to comment when everybody else is doing it.
We need Rick too. We need Rick also. He didn't talk.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that they should get unionized. They need to get paid more, you know. Right. And like I said,
they need to get paid more. I'll agree with that.
They're living in their parents, but they're not making. People just think of the Bryce Harpers and all that are making these millions and millions of dollars when they have a signing bonus, and they're not talking about the 99% or who are just struggling. And I agree, you have to pay your dues. You know, we all have to pay our dues. But $11,000, I mean, that's beyond poverty. Who in the world can survive off $11,000? I mean, nobody can. So, I mean, chase your dream and sacrifice and all that, but at the same time, you need to pay your bills like everybody else. These guys are not multi-millionaires. They're trying to get up to that level of being multi-millionaires when they go to Major League Baseball. But right now, you know, they're paying their dues like an actor. They're paying their dues, waiting for their big break, and boom, they get a big payday. And that's what a lot of these minor league players are, like the Knights are trying to do, or like the Honey Hunters or whatever are trying to do. So pay them more. They need to get paid, and there's nothing wrong with getting a little extra pay. I'm not talking about getting them a mansion or Rolls Royce or be like Reggie Bush, whose parents were driving like a Mercedes and all that stuff, and had apartments and all that stuff up in these nice fancy condos that they're living in, and had like a blue collar job. You know, just pay them a decent wage. That's all.
Right. Yeah, and you know what? Let me just say this much: I'm from Metro Detroit, which is a union state, so I grew up around the union workers. So I understand why they're trying to do that, to make sure they get all the benefits that they need as well. But I guess I'm not really, when it comes to the minor leagues, and I've covered minor league baseball for a lot of years, and not so totally on the unionizing. I understand why they're doing it, to make things better. But I'm just telling you, Jacob, I'm not totally sold on it. But I do believe that everybody should make a lot more money and live in much better housing. I really do. Because you can't, the system is what it is. And a lot of guys are probably leaving a little bit earlier to not pursue them. You know, let's face the reality. You know, you can bump the wage scale up from every level, from single A, double A, and triple A. And then if you're good enough, you're going to get the big money anyway. So I'm not really, and I'm a union person that grew up in union state, so I understand. When it comes to the big three automakers, I totally get it, and I know why they do it to make sure they have benefits. For some reason or another, minor league baseball, in being in a union, although it probably will happen at some point, I'm not totally drinking the Kool-Aid on that. I'm just not all the way.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I just googled what the Charlotte Knights player's salary is.
Yeah.
It's more than what I personally make annually.
What was it? You Googled it, right?
Average salary is $76,153.
Oh, that's for play, right?
It all depends
That's
on
a living
location. Location, like you said.
It is location.
I mean, they're not getting the same thing like in Tupelo, Mississippi. I'm sure they're not getting paid that.
Right.
Tupelo doesn't make $76,000 in their gross domestic product anyway.
So, you got Elvis and you got fried peanut butter banana sandwiches.
Yeah,
and it does need to be more even.
Yeah,
I don't think they, like I said earlier, they don't need to unionize. They do need to get paid more. I think 75, 76 is an average salary because you can focus on your game.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, that's great. And I hope all of them are that consistent, but they're not, unfortunately. Right. As long as the unions work for everybody, that's good, because if they don't, you're going to end up like Jimmy Hoffa buried in a giant stadium somewhere.
Oh, God.
The biggest thing is now with all these stories, okay? LIV versus Live versus PGA.
Kidding.
Yeah, Live versus PGA. The minor leagues with unionization, NIL, all this stuff. The chickens are coming home to roost. There is a lot of this stuff. Every bit of the original problems, like PGA with all that stuff. Everybody gets greedy. Right. They get greedy. Yeah. They get stupid. They get everything, and then everything comes home to like this. Then people get pissed off when there's competition or something like that happens, but they don't see their own ego. They don't see their own ego in the way it started in the first place. They won't admit it. And it's like the chickens are coming home to roost now. It's like I said, no, I will never be a full-fledged, and someone who's been an actor, I'm going to have to do a union, but I'm not the biggest union advocate in the world. I'm the biggest union when it works advocate, with the original idea of protecting a worker, not the union that acted like the CEO that they're going against.
Good point. Yeah, no, I'm with you. You know what, Jacob? To me, you nailed it dead on there. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you nailed it dead on.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. It's like the unions go, the unions as from that thing with the greed and stuff like that. But at the same time, I want workers protected. That would be the ball players. That would be, if it takes that. Just to get them, like you brought up $76,000. I'd love everybody to get $76,000. I'm just looking for 40.
Okay. Well, you know what? That's why we have these open conversations. I love listening to everybody's opinion. I think that's what makes this a great show, where the opinions are coming all over the place. And that's what and developing a group here that I have a very intelligent set of commentators. And you know what? This is a blast just being a spectator watching.
And I love having Jen on with me again. That's awesome.
Oh, I
love you, Jacob.
We're making all this stuff happen. You don't have to worry. This is the beginning of a lot. All right. So with that said, we're going to go to our parting shots. I took this from the sports reporters. I'm bringing it here. Okay, Rick, give me your parting shots about what stood out for you in the week of sport.
Well, in baseball yesterday, I talked about all this stupid war and all these stupid, idiotic, all this. Going by computers, and instead of managing by your gut, you have to manage by all this stupid analytics going on. And I kind of touched on this yesterday, Scott, when I was talking about how I'm tired of hearing about some pitcher throwing 100 miles an hour, or he threw 102 miles an hour. I could care less. I want to see Greg Maddux. I want to see artists on the mound. The psychology going on, like a Peyton Manning, where you can see his brain just turning and turning every time he throws the ball or pitches or anything like that. I'm sick of these 100-mile-an-hour pitchers. And guess what? A lot of these young pitchers today getting Tommy John surgery. Is that a coincidence? I think not. So stop with the 100-mile-an-hour fastballs and all this stuff, and just be like a Greg Maddux. Nothing wrong with Greg Maddux. one of the greatest pitchers of all time. He thought with his brain, didn't throw hard. He always said, "I could throw hard, but why should I?" And I agree. Just go be a knuckleball pitcher if you want to, and be there till you're 50 years old. But enough with these 100-mile-an-hour fastballs and breaking these records of who threw the fastest, because you're gonna blow out your arm. And like I said, I hear a lot of more Tommy John surgeries now than I did before.
Well, I'll add to that, and then I'm going to turn over to Jennifer. Okay. Years ago, Frank Tanana reinvented himself too, from the Angels being a hard thrower, he became a crafty pitcher. With that said, I didn't think about it last night, but I will bring it up tonight. All right, Jennifer, give me your parting shots tonight. What stood out to you in the world of sports a week ago?
This is a shout out to my girl, Sydney Boone. Jacob's heard this before. Okay. He has a conspiracy theory that if we do not win and the Carolina Panthers do not win the first 5 games, Matt Rule will be sent back to school. Okay. So I'm really hoping we lose one of the first 5 games.
Send him back to McDonald's.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think it was at Waffle House, but I don't want to insult Waffle House.
Waffle.
I love Waffle House.
Oh, I love Waffle House.
I've never been to one. I've never been to one.
But all right. I just want Matt Rule gone. That's my parting shot.
Okay.
Because we got to keep pounding, right, Rick?
Huh? Yeah, he needs to go. I can't stand him.
Keep pounding.
All right, Jacob.
All right. Here's the biggest issue right now is my Bears are going up on Sunday. And I remember last year with telling all these fans, and see, I was part of sideline for this. You wouldn't see me on this guy, but I told them all. Everybody was living on Justin Fields. They loved them. They wanted to break all of Trubisky's rookie records, whatever. I was saying it's still Matt Nagy. He 2-8, and then first game 9 sacks, literally 1 yard total. The passing 1 yard, and that is what happened. And then he got better, but still 2-8. This is an era right now. You cannot be that way and do it again. And then they're also talking about possible 3-14. I don't think it's going to be that, but that would make him 5-22. He doesn't stand a chance. And this is my parting shot tonight, and it's my usual parting shot to every fan. Quit listening to fans. Quit giving them the time of day. Be like Mike Tomlin. Quit listening. He doesn't even listen to him, doesn't give him the time of day. They chanted Kenny Pickett. He made his choice, regardless of whether it succeeds or fails. He lives and dies, and guess what? He's never had a losing season.
Sort of like Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
When he played ball, not when he owned a team.
Right. But it's Michael Jordan that wins. But still, the biggest thing that I'm bringing with this is there was, and I'm saying this just being honest, Justin Fields to me has a Lamborghini talent.
Okay.
Mitchell Trubisky to me was a Dodge Charger, which is still nice. It wasn't Lamborghini. Dodge Charger. But if Matt Nagy could not run a Dodge Charger, an automatic, nice, but he's going to grind the gears off the Lamborghini, and he did. Now that Lamborghini has to ball out beyond the world. He literally has to have a year where he can either.
Justin Fields is overrated. Sorry, I love you.
That's fine. But I'm just bringing it this way. He has to have a year where but you got to remember, I was saying in the beginning that he didn't belong with Matt Nagy. So I'm just bringing this. He has to have a year where he completely balls out and gets his bag and gets his money, because the Bears, the new ownership's going to want they're going to want that franchise right there for the new stadium. He's going to have to ball out, or they're going to be looking in the offseason with whether it's a draft or that way, and it's going to be number 61 as far as quarterbacks since 1984. And that was as much as he. And if you do think he's overrated, cool, and that's understood. But the biggest thing is, I'm going to hate this again because I'm sick and tired of this. It's like, quit listening to fans. There is my parting shot.
Okay, I'm going to go reiterate from the baseball show to you guys, okay, and a new audience tonight. The one big element missing in baseball that we don't see enough is the complete game. Sandy Alcantara here with the Miami Marlins has 4. I love when Roy Halladay was putting him up there, and the list goes on and on. I'm not going to get into a million of them. We need the complete game back. Okay. And that's all there is to it. Why do we need the complete game back? Because you're asking pitchers to pitch once every 5 games. Okay. And you need to give the bullpen a break. Okay. Don't overwork bullpens. I don't like it. I don't mind the 3 batter minimum because growing up in my day, pitchers were pitching 2 or 3 innings to get saved. So what's a stupid 3 batter minimum? Need to complete game. Whether Sandy Alcantara gets Cy Young, not really worried about it. Hope he does. But where are guys like the Roy Halladay's? Cliff Lee, I think went ahead and threw a few of them, right, Rick? And the list is on and on in the modern day. But I grew up with guys like Mickey Lolich, who, by the way, should be in the Hall of Fame. And to me, I just specialization's all well and good, but what the heck is wrong with a pitcher going 8, 9 innings, game in and game out, to give your bullpen a break? I do also want to point out a special RIP to Mark Littell, the former Kansas City Royals pitcher who has appeared on our shows many, many times. Mark's a good friend of mine. Rest in peace, Mark. God love you, and I appreciate everything that you have done as well. But bring back the complete game, folks, because you're going to wear bullpens out, and to me, that's really what it's all about. And I like what Rick said. If you're looking for the 100-mile-an-hour fastball, let's get smarter. Okay,
it's analytics that's ruining the game, Scott. I mean, people like Kevin Cash and all these guys are so diehard about it.
Yeah, we know that what analytics is doing, but to me, and I don't like these openers or any of that stuff either. But we won't get into that for another time. But
Rick and I talk about this ourselves. They have optional Tommy Johns now. Where these kids are getting them so they can have some extra zip on the ball. One of the kids from I believe ODU, Old Dominion, or Wake Forest, or one of those,
right,
died on the operating table getting one of those.
Really? No kidding.
Yeah, and it's like this has come to this, and it's like. And you're doing that 100-mile-per-hour for what? 4 2/3 innings?
So they could be on Bleacher Report and be on Facebook and say, or be on YouTube or put it on their TikTok to show how fast they throw. That's why, because we're living in this media, and like you said, with the fans, people who are armchair quarterbacks and doing all this. And I kept hearing about the USFL was going to go. Well, wasn't going to even finish a whole season by these idiot armchair experts, and I'm just thinking like. Fox Sports owns them. I think they know what they're doing. Well, they finished their first season already, going on for their second. So they always know what they're doing. But the fans, they need to be quiet and just watch the game.
No, I agree. I mean, I'm thankfully that I'm a reporter and I go in the press box. So I don't have to sit by a fan. So that's a beautiful thing for me. All I got to do is keep my 6 feet apart, go on my computer, work. And, I'm fortunate to be in the industry.
Yeah, stop saying Ohtani's better than Babe Ruth, for Pete's sakes. My gosh.
Right. But I think the thing that we've all been able to address here tonight is, again, I love what everyone had to say in their final parting shots. I just want the complete game back as much as possible because we grew up there and it saves bullpens and all that. And, we'll see where it goes. And I hope that there's a lot more old school managers that believe that pitchers should go deeper and that we don't have to deal with combined no-hitters, which I'm not getting into tonight anyway, so let's not go there. But meanwhile, what I've enjoyed this edition of the Sports Exchange a lot. I love bringing in fresh faces, especially the fresh faces that are going to become permanent faces, right? Jacob Krishner.
Yep.
Want to come on? I'm going to go over some promotional thing here, and then everybody gets their opportunity to do that. Subscribe to the South Florida Tribune on our YouTube channel, or visit www.southfloridatribune.com and follow us on Twitter at Tribune South. Okay, to advertise, call 954-304-4941. The audio portion of the show can be heard on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, if you can't find it from our website, go to youtube.com, hit South Florida Tribune, and please subscribe there. So what a great crew I had tonight. Jennifer Lewis, okay, why don't you let everybody know how they get a hold of you?
Hey, well, you can find me on Twitter at Jenna Cheryl. You can also find me on any of the Sideline Sports podcasts or any of the following. On Sundays, I am the producer for Basket Bros, which Scott will be on this Sunday. It's also with Mr. Jacob Krishner, Will Vogel, Dom Jerubis, and Denzel Snipes. On Mondays during the NBA season, we will have the Megan Price's The Queen of Hoops NBA Carousel. On Tuesday nights, we have some exciting changes coming, but currently it is 3 Chicks in a Pod at 7:30 p.m. Then at 11 p.m. we have the Best Late Night Talk Show, and that's the Confidential, and that's along with Jacob Krishner, Jordan Long, JB Ellis. I'm forgetting people. Denzel Snipes is our producer, and who am I forgetting, Jacob?
About 6,000% of Sideline Sports at this point. We don't know.
Okay, thanks. And then on Wednesday nights, you can find me on the Pundit's Pundit. And occasionally I may crash your show, Scott. On Thursday nights, I'll be on your show, Inside the Pigskin, as well as Alex Fleming's NFL Carousel. That is one of the flagship shows of Sideline Sports.
Yeah.
On Friday nights, leave me alone. I'm with my husband chilling. On Saturdays,
we won't leave you alone.
I know you won't. Rick, take care of him for me. And at 85
Absolutely.
Get rid of him. And then Sundays we're back to Basketballs. And thank you so much for having me on, Scott.
Oh, you're welcome. Hey, I'm glad to be a part of the Pundit Show. Now I'll get to talk basketball. So that'll be out my wheelhouse on Sunday. So they'll be shows I look forward to week in and week out. All right, Jacob Krishner, the new co-host of the Sports Exchange, along with Rick Curdy. Lay it out there, my friend.
All right. We'll start from the thing. Wednesday nights is the Pundit's Pundit. Used to be Thursdays. We're working it going. Working and going now. Then Wednesday nights also. Now I'm on Sports Exchange, which is awesome. Thursday nights off Sideline. I have a show called Yin and Yang with a girl named TJ Sanson, good friend of mine. It's mostly films, but can be politics and a few other. We're talking about AI art tomorrow night too, artificial intelligence art. So it's going to be pretty cool. So we go to that part. That's the Thursday night. Then and then also on the 17th, just before I do the other shows, on the 17th, I will be in Des Moines, Iowa, with the Iowa Cubs with JB Ellis. I will be over there. So I'll be over there at the Iowa Cubs, and we got our credentials. So I'm going to be over there, and then plus I live near Quincy, Illinois, so I get to go visit home a little bit. So we get that, and then I got invited onto last Saturday for the Gauntlet. Hopefully, I'll get other Gauntlet shows. So we'll see. Sunday nights, Basket Bros. Monday nights during the season, the NBA Carousel with Megan Price, and Tuesday nights Confidential. Plus, I am helping produce a movie with that same TJ Sanson called The Awakening. So lots of things going on with my life right now, lots of stuff, and I'm happy to have you on the show on Pundit's Pundit, Scott, and I'm being on here.
I am so happy to be in there, and my schedule this week is really hectic because I have a lot here on our network. But yeah, my schedule for the rest of the week with you guys is I'm on the Gauntlet broadcast on Saturday night, and of course back at Basket Bros and doing the Pundit Show, which is phenomenal. So again, this is just unbelievable stuff. So we're really glad that we're able to work in conjunction with Sideline Sports to bring the best that they have to offer to our platform and vice versa. And Jennifer, if you don't mind, why don't you talk about a show that you and Candy are going to do? I have no problem announcing it on this network if you're okay with that.
So that's fine. We're going to be launching probably the first Tuesday in October, Chicks and Salsa, along with my girls, Megan Price and Carrie Johnson and Candy. And we're going to be rotating it. 1 week it's going to be Chicks and Salsa, and next week it'll be 3 Chicks in a Pod.
Very good. Well, we're definitely looking forward to that. Candy Ebling's deserved her opportunity to have a break. And Candy Ebling, obviously, without her, South Florida Tribune wouldn't be what it is. But she's also a host for Fire Up Wisconsin as well. And last but not least, the guy that I've been working with for a while, Mr. Rick Curdy. Put it out there, my friend.
You can find me on my website at www.charlottebats.com. Founder and CEO. We have a petition on there to bring Major League Baseball to Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm also on Facebook under Charlotte MLB, Charlotte Bats Baseball. I'm on Twitter, Charlotte Bats Baseball. Instagram is Charlotte Bats. And I'm also on LinkedIn under Rick Curdy. And if you have any comments or questions, you can email me at cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com.
Yeah, and Rick does this incredible job helping us on our social media to make sure everything is shared via his Twitter accounts, and he's been a contributor on 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, Sports Exchange, where we need him. So, Rick, we always appreciate you helping us out. Also, special shout out to the individuals that participated in the chat room. Coach Dante, thank you very much for being coming on tonight. Candy Ebling, of course, had an opportunity to watch it. Ralph Williams. So it's always good to get some interaction in the chat room as well. So meanwhile, great first act, Mr. Krishner, Curdy. Definitely
Appreciate it.
You two every week. Jennifer, we're going to bring you on, and we'll look forward to see JB Ellis come on and whoever else can take on this incredible group. So on behalf of Jennifer Lewis, a professional fan, is that P-U-R-R? Okay.
Yeah, professional fan.
Yeah, I don't need to have my eyes checked because I only had 5 operations anyway. But I'm still here.
And thank you for having me on, gentlemen. I hope you'll have a great evening.
Oh, it's been great.
Take care of yourself.
And Jacob Krishner, my name is Scott Morgan, Roth Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us, and we will catch you the next time. Good night, everybody, and have yourself a great Thursday. Good night.
Good night.
Night.